This episode of Storytellers is brought to you by these fine companies.
Hi, I'm Dale Pulde, the War Eagle. You're watching Storytellers at CompetitionPlusTV.
Dale Pulde, he has won 2 IHRA races already this year. He was the world champion in 1977 and 82.
Boy, things right now are rolling right along for Pulde. I can't really believe they've been able to get this much success out of a new car. They did a lot of thrashing around this week. They said they weren't happy until last night. The Stroh's Night of Fire came along, and all of a sudden, Pulde was right there. The other thing he has going for him, Bob, great consistency. He's been very good on his reaction times at the line. The car has not been the fastest in terms of miles per hour, but they have been terribly consistent. And right now, Pulde looks like the man to beat, Bob.
Certainly the experience nod will go to Tom the Mongoose McEwen, because he has over 30 years of experience and about 12 years as far as actual age is concerned.
Off the line, they both pull up rather even hole shot. Pulde looks like he's coming on. Boy, that was
another
close too,
race.
Bob. Wow.
Big puff of smoke from Tom McEwen's car after the finish line. But Dale Pulde is the winner with a 250.69 run, 5.792.
Hey, tell me the story about how you guys built a car over the weekend and went and won the race and eventually won a championship that year with it.
That was in 1985. Actually, the car builder was Jim Hume, H&H Racecraft, who Hume did a lot of tins, did the majority of the tin on like the Blue Max and Joe Paisano's car and our car and stuff. And Hume was still one of the, next to Tom Hanna, Hume was your master of the tin works and stuff. And one day he was there and we were finishing up one of our cars, and Hume said, you know, I'd like to build a car one day. He said, I'd like to build my own car. Well, at the time, we had gone through having Tony Caceres build our cars, and we really liked Tony. He was a really plenty good guy, but he is so unreliable. I mean, you never knew what you were, when you were gonna ever get your car. After we burned our one car to the ground, I had already paid Tony complete for a car that I thought was complete. When we went to get our one, after we burnt the car up, we stopped in Dallas to get the car. I was sitting there was the tubing. And that's when I told Hume, I said, I've had enough trouble here. If you want to build a car, build us one. I said, but I'm really happy with what we have. So Hume sat down, he drew out the car and just took measurements and drew out everything. He made some of his own changes to make it nice and do what we wanted. Well, at that time, that made it a one-stop shop. You got your car, you got it all tinned, you got the body all mounted and tinned, everything done. All I had to do is go get it painted and chromed. So he brought it down to Los Angeles, and he and my dad took everything to get painted and chromed. And then he basically put the rough car together. Then we rented, renting a Penske van, and Jim Hume and Lance Larson brought the car to the track. Big Lance works on everybody's race car. You know, he wasn't doing anything, and he and Jim Hume brought the car to Bristol. And we already had, the car we had was running really darn good, and so I was almost afraid to change cars at the time. Had the new Buick body on it, aerodynamic problems and stuff that we were concerned about. So we pulled the car, got to the racetrack there at Bristol, and they unloaded the Buick. So we figured, well, what the hell? So we had all the hoses and fittings and everything calculated, what we had to have. And we stayed there and took the engine and everything all out of one car and put it in this one. We plumbed it, made all the lines for it, put all the chutes on it, did all the wires and everything we needed to do, and went out there, and the car ran perfect, exactly every run right away, and did extremely well. We're plenty.
What was the first run like in that car?
It sat a little different, and I didn't know what it was going to do, but it ran right on the mile per hour record the very first run. And the car would go out, the front end would come up in the air out there about 150 feet. The front end would get up in the air, and it would take its time, and it'd settle back down. So, not knowing anything about the aerodynamics, we went back and Jim Hume was there with us, and he glassed a lip on the front of it. And the car went out there and it stayed down on the ground. And it did pretty neat. And which kind of brings me to another story in the whole thing with Bill Schultz. Anyway, we did really well with the car, and we ended up in the final round racing Prudhomme. Start the car up in the final round, did the burnout, did all the stuff and everything. I do the burnout, I had a manual shifter in it, I go to push it out of high gear to back up, and the shifter goes kerplunk. Uh-oh, trans is dead. Backed up to stage it, they shut Prudhomme off of the starting line because he had an injector leak, so I got to make a single. So I ran it as far as I could in low gear, and it ran really good. It kind of opened the eyes up to people sitting in the stands. Said, well, he ran that far in low gear. That thing must have a pretty good gear in it. So that opened that can of worms up so people had an idea what was going on. But anyway, we were one of the low ET qualifiers at that race and others, but we qualified really well at some of these things. But then when it come up for a single or a buy run for your qualifying ladder, we always seem to lose out on that buy run. So Bill Schultz and the crew guys, they were paid a salary plus a percentage. So every time we won a round, or we got a chance for something like that, it cost them if we didn't win or whatever. So they come up to me and said, Dale, we should be getting a buy run. All right, well, what do you want to do about it? Well, can you talk to who's ever running this whole thing? Well, Ted Jones was the race director there. So I don't have very much luck at that. I'm not very smooth at those particular things. And so anyway, Schultz decided, okay, I'll talk to him. So we said, okay, Bill, you talk to him. So Bill goes up, and we're talking to Ted Jones and stuff. And so he said, well, what's the problem? And Bill said, well, we've run low ET, a lot of runs, and we've done a lot of stuff, and we qualified really well. But we always miss out on the buy run. Well, how come we don't get this buy run all the time? He says, I work on a commission, and it hurts myself and the rest of the crew. And so Dale said, if I want to try to work it out with somebody, I need to work it out with you. Ted Jones just looks at him just like you'd expect. He's real dry. Well, he said to Bill, have you ever run a drag race? Bill looks, the words were never completely out of his mouth. But Schultz was really good with one-liners. He had a really good personality. He said, well, no, but I've never laid an egg, but I can tell a rotten one. And it left Jones totally speechless. He says, well, the ladder's already made up. That's what we're going to do, and that's how we're going to run it. And that's how it ended up. But those are the kind of things that we always kind of looked for and stuff. But it was just a weekend that worked out extremely well. It worked out very, very well.